Good evening, Greenwood. Welcome to Real Conversation with Sean. Coming to you on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 4:30. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sponsored by the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire Initiative. My name is Sean.
And I'm Jelani.
And we come to you to bring commentary. We feel very blessed to have this opportunity to talk to our people. And we're going to take time out now to recognize our sponsors.
Real Conversation with Sean, brought to you by Come and Go Grocery, 1500 Carrollton Avenue. Go by and get your 2 for $10 t-shirts. They also accept EBT, and they have an ATM machine. Also by the ALH Foundation and the Healthy Living Mississippi Initiative. What this is a 60-day trial put on by Healthy Living Mississippi for local Mississippians to get in shape to fight obesity. It's going to start June the 1st and run through July 31st, where you'll be running every morning at 7 a.m. from the corner of Walthall and Henry all the way down to the park, to the Greenwood Youth Center. For information or details, call 662-374-6414 and ask for Dr. Adrian Hicks. What's on your mind today, Mr. Pierce?
You know, I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset.
Very hurt.
Yeah, I'm hurt because we pour our heart out and try to bring this commentary. As far as the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire Initiative, I've been having a hard time getting it off the ground. Of course, we've made some progress since then. We have our paperwork together.
Yeah.
We're doing our radio broadcast, and we're doing what we can. But at the same time, a lot of times when your silence is loud, I've said that a lot of times, silence is loud. And when our young people make mistakes and something tragic happens, like what happened at the park, I know everybody involved. They were former students of mine, so it hits close to home. After every show, I always say, let's do the right thing. Let's be safe. And if you're next to somebody that you know that is involved in an altercation or an ongoing beef, it doesn't hurt to stop, to put them to the side,
find another way
and talk to them and try to get them to go another route. And what's going on now is, you know, I was listening to commentary. I thought it was going to be a lot made of what happened, but for some reason I think that it's toterated for us
because it's expected.
Yeah, and it's tolerated
for
us to shoot each other and do things, you know, toward each other
that's accepted now.
It's accepted.
Let's just look at looked at it as, oh well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
So it's like, oh well, you know, that's part of the system. Yeah. And that's the entire way that it's set up. It's set up for that to happen. Things were put in place years ago to make sure that young man would get shot Sunday.
Well,
make sure that young man shooting the gun will have the mentality to shoot the gun.
That's because
it's all a part of the system.
But the system, we don't have to fall into the system.
I mean, it's hard not to.
We don't have to fall into
your leadership. When your leaderships perpetuate the system, how can you as a eon do anything about it?
And I'm so confused because we've put together and advertised, you know, the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire.
That's the whole point of this organization.
Right. I
gun
mean,
violence,
domestic violence, conflict resolution. Right. We're not in place right now where we can comfort those, you know, or cause these things not to happen, or try to have an influence in not happening.
Right.
And I was going to say last week that we were doing real well here in our town as far as our young people, because the only ongoing beef right now is within our school system. And I always said, if we have all of our energy in one place, we're lacking somewhere else. And something always is going to happen. That's and right. It seems as if that didn't deter them it didn't deter the people who have the influence, and I can't, you know, I
It
can't.
didn't. What happens on the park Sunday, the people who have influence deep down inside have no care about it. None whatsoever. I mean, none whatsoever. If they did, it would have never happened. You know, if you as a person in power and leadership can sit back and say, oh, well, I had nothing to do with that, that's not my fault, then you are corrupt, you are degenerate, and you are the scum of the earth. Because it's all your fault. The blood of the people, of the young men that die on this park and in these places, their blood is on the hands of the people who are currently in leadership, because the correct preventative measures have not been taken to stop these type of things. Just because you speak up and speak out on what a person should do as an individual, that's not enough to say, oh, well, that's my job, I've done my job. No, you have to get in and interact. You have to do more than tell people what they need to do. You yourself need to do what it takes to prevent these type of things from happening.
And I mean, we gather on the park. We have little or nothing to do, but our people have been so used to taking the best, doing the best they can with what they have.
What they got. And that has been ruined.
They have fun, you know, gathering on the park. And in a perfect world, in my imagination, if our people, our young people organize themselves. They organize basketball games. They organize kickball games. They have nobody in leadership guiding them.
To help them.
And my whole thing is, when we see them take the effort to bring things together, it's on us to mentor them on how to keep it going and keep it going safe.
Right, how to help it out and make it flourish.
Yes.
That's what we do not do. We do not flourish. The young men who were involved in that shooting, you can look at them all you want and put the blame on them and say, oh, they need to do better. Oh, they should have been doing, You could even go to their parents and blame their parents and say, oh, well, oh, the parents this and oh, the parents that. But that's not who the blame falls on. Because those young men, their actions were indicative of their way of thinking. Mm-hmm. Their way of thinking is indicative of their upbringing. And their upbringing is indicative of their surrounding. So if they were brought up in a surrounding that is limited on point of views, on income, on intelligence, on education, you've been brought up in a box. So how can you expect to behave any other way than what you've been brought up in? So you can't look at those young men and say what they need to do. They were not brought up to do what they need to do.
And the behavior,
leadership.
And then the behavior.
That blood is on the hands of the leadership.
That behavior that they're exhibiting is similar to the behaviors that they read about in the paper. But they don't have the money to sue. They're not tenured educators or tenured politicians. So they don't have the conflict resolution skills or the incentive not to do something that you have.
Or the intelligence.
They're intelligent, but they're strong-willed and they're brave. And my whole thing is, I'm trying to let my young people know you can turn that energy, that bravery that you have, that go-getter that you have, you can turn that into a positive. And if I'm, you know, it seems like, you know, what we're saying is not valid. But things like this happen right after we've been, you know, trying to
every time we come on the radio show, again, that's the name of this organization, the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire. That means to stop gun violence. To stop gun violence. This is something that is plaguing our entire community. Why hasn't someone with influence, with money, with the resources got behind this organization and say, hey, let's put things into place that can prevent this? Who's to say that if the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire Initiative had the backing it needed, that some type of event could have prevented those young men from doing what they did? If some type of awareness, some type of open conversation, someone had to listen to them. We don't know why they did that, but if some type of organization had been in place with the proper funding and proper backing to prevent these type of things, then we wouldn't have these situations. But as long as the people and the leadership focus on the symptoms of the problem, then we will continue to have this. It's a reason why it's all going on, because it's the system. They perpetuate the system. It was meant for to happen. What happened Sunday? Because it's the part of the system.
What's been going on, Mr. Bob? I've been witnessing this this type thing go on for a long time, and what we do, we pray about it, and then we forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, prayer, prayer only
pray,
goes so far.
We pray about it.
You got to get up and work.
We pretend like we want to gather
God is only going to help you if you help yourself. You can pray all day. You can pray till you blue in the face, and nothing's going to change until you stand up, pick your hand up, get off your tail, and do something yourself as a person with authority and responsibility. Real Conversation with Sean brought to you by Convo12 Grocery here in Greenwood, 1500 Carrollton Avenue. They have the 2 for $10 T-shirts. They accept EBT, and they also have an ATM. Also brought to you by Healthy Living Mississippi. It is a 60-day challenge to get you to get up, get out, and lose weight, sponsored by the ALH Foundation. For details, get in touch with Dr. Adrian Hicks, 662-374-6414.
Well, I wanna talk to my young people right now, my parents, my grandparents. It's the problem. Let's stop pretending like it's not a problem. Yeah. And most of these, if you're 25 years old, 24 years old, it was not long ago that you were sitting in some of our classrooms, whether
5 years ago,
whether it be the city or the county. And we know that we took our hands off young people a long time ago.
Right.
And these are the things that are gonna happen. These are the things. These are the repercussions of taking your hands off.
Not doing what you need to do.
And for you to blame it on their parents
or them
and leave it and say that you've done your part. I mean, we've been making ourselves. I've been hearing make yourself a committee of one for so many years, and I've made myself a committee of one so many times. I think I'm a committee of 10. Because I'm gonna listen to my mentors. I'm gonna listen to the people who tell us what we need to do to get to the promised land or get to a better situation.
Right.
And right now, we always say education is the key, but then we'll turn around in the same breath and say everybody not cut out for school. So those people who are not cut out for school, they need covenant as well.
That's right.
They need
the avenue also.
They need an avenue.
They need the avenue also. We put so much into going to school and degrees, which is all good and great. But as you can see, it is not for the masses when it comes to, and I'm not even going to say, black people. I'm going to stop using race and just apply it to, because it's an economic situation. Anybody who is in a poverty situation will behave the same way. If you're in poverty, you're going to behave the same way. If you're in a better social class, if you're rich, you're going to behave the same way. So it's not a black thing as much as it is an economic thing. Anyone who was raised in an impoverished community, they're all going to have that same mentality no matter what their skin color is. And that mentality comes about off what they've been taught. And if you have people in leadership who have the knowledge, who know what it takes to do these things, and they don't do them, that is corruption. They are perpetuating a corrupt system. There is no way we have all black leadership and blacks as a people have gotten worse. There is no way, there's no explaining that except for the fact that these people are corrupt. They want to perpetuate the system that keeps them in the places in which they are, so that that same system can keep the other people where they are, which is on the park shooting at each other for no apparent reason at all.
Well, they have, in their minds there's a reason. And once something gets started,
they're corrupt.
And I know
that's why.
I know my young people. Like I said, they, what they're seeing is a bunch of suing. Our young people can't sue. They're not gonna sue the person who.
So they're gonna do the next best thing they know to do.
Right.
To pick up a gun.
Right. or put up their dukes.
Or put up their dukes.
So my thing is this: they're seeing a bad example of how to get along. They're seeing a bad example, and my thing is, we want it to change. I don't want to see the same thing keep going on. I told them, a couple of weeks ago, they say that every time it gets warm, we act a fool. No, let's make them out of a lie. They want you to keep doing that so you can keep getting bogged down in the system and you will be dependent on somebody.
We have to realize that It's all set up this way. It's not the individual's person's fault. Again, going back to those two young men.
We got two perspectives. I don't believe that.
And listen, and those two young men, if I'm not mistaken, they were fresh, like they're not too long placed out of high school, right? Like they just got out of high school not too long ago, right? Which means that what? These are products of our school system. If you look at our school system, the majority of our graduates become murderers, gangbangers, dope dealers. So what does that say about our school system?
Not
the majority of your children. No, yes, the majority. If you look at the majority of our young men, they're all in the same spot. So, we don't want to, worry about stepping on toes right here. The majority of the products of our school system are all underachievers. They do not make it. And you know why? Because the system is set up that way so the majority does not make it.
I feel
until we go against that system and the people in get out or people out stand up and do enough people get out, that system is going to continue to be perpetuated, and we're going to constantly blame individual people for making mistakes that they were predestined to make because of their predetermined situation.
We supposed to have different perspectives, and my perspective is this. I know so many young people that want to do better. I know so many young people that are applying themselves right now, but they're caught up in a turmoil where they believe they're being told that people are concerned about their well-being. If you're concerned about my young people's well-being, why not come to the table and brainstorm and get some things done to cater to their needs, to cater to their problems?
Because they don't care. They could care less. They could give a rat's tail about the actual situation of how the majority of young people are going to turn out. As long as a few turn out, as long as we get one doctor out of 2,800, as long as we get one lawyer out of 20, as long as just a couple make it, then it's okay to let the majority stay where they are because they're not going to make it anyway. They need to stay where they are anyway. That's the mentality.
I was told that as a young person that I wasn't going to live to be 18 because I made a mistake. Because I got on somebody's nerves, I was told what wasn't going to happen for me in the future.
Right.
That turned out to be a lie. Okay. So how many other young people are being told that type of sentiment and actually believing it and playing the whole role?
Millions.
I need my young people to do this. Think for yourselves. If you're having a problem, go to somebody and talk to them about it. Go to somebody who's going to give you positive information. Go to somebody who's been through those type ordeals and survived them. Nothing new is happening under the moon or the sun.
Nothing.
It's all happened
If it
before.
take you 60 years to figure out the way life works, that's your fault. That's your fault.
Right.
It's your fault. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything that's been going on has been going on since the beginning of time. So if someone tells you, you haven't been here long enough, you don't have to be here long enough to figure out how life works because it's nothing new.
That's that pop-up.
It's nothing new.
That's that pop-up. They
is
deter
nothing
people
new under the sun.
They deter people from coming out that want to serve by calling them pop-up
because they tell them they haven't been out long enough.
Just like Mr. We mentioned the ball is in our court.
Mr. Jennings.
Yeah.
Mr. Jennings said that. He said the ball is in our court.
Right.
Everything that's going on now is a result of our own leadership. The result. How is everything still the same with black leaders? Our black leaders are worse than the white ones who preceded them.
But at the same time,
and we accept it. We sit back and take it and accept it because they're educated.
We're used to accepting. We've been told to take what you got and do the best.
It's almost as if submission is in our blood, as if we're willing to be submissive to the majority, not everybody, because we know some will, go against it. Real Conversation with Sean, brought to you by Come and Go Grocery, 1500 Carrollton Avenue here in Greenwood. Go by and get your 2 for $10 T-shirts. They accept EBT and also have an ATM. Also brought to you by Healthy Living Mississippi. This is a 60-day trial to where we want to bring obesity awareness and get people in shape here in the Mississippi Delta. It starts June the 1st and runs through July the 1st. Contact Dr. Adrian Hicks. The registration fee is $60. Her number is 662-374-6414.
In a perfect world, in a world that that we'll never have, but I think that something needs to happen. It's okay. We're rallying for our teachers who lost their jobs. We're suing the governor, for taking over the school. You know, we're beefing with so many different people, and then when something like this happens,
it's looked over.
Our guards are down.
And
so now we got to act like it didn't happen, or it's not that important.
No. What we act like is, well, that happens. They're in the ghetto. They're in the hood. That's how people in the hood and the ghetto behave. So it's just looked over because they feel like, that's never going to change. It's never going to change because you don't want it to change. Because if it changed, then
they won't
will
be
lose
dependent.
your benefits.
They won't be.
You will lose your benefits.
More.
People, what you need to understand is that your leadership's benefits off of your ignorance. What you don't know, they hold it against you, and they keep it from you, and they'll tell you anything to make you subside. Find out for yourself. Do not let people tell you no or tell you that you don't know what you're talking about because you didn't receive the type of education that they did. One of our colleagues told us, Mr. Cross, he said, when you're dealing with a person who has a doctorate and who's well-versed in the Bible, who probably can sing, you're not even talking to a regular person because you're not on their level. They are up to them. They're of so much of high esteem that they cannot talk to the common man and hear you. When you talk to a person who's very educated, they're going to answer you with an educated answer. And if they haven't been taught that in their education, then they're not going to know how to answer you. They're not going to know how to go outside of their teaching. They're not going to know how to go outside of their realm. That's killer. That kills our entire community because everybody does not have that astute type of intelligence.
I hope that my prayers and our prayers with the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire Initiative goes out to the families of everybody involved, and it affects us. Industry won't come here if we seem to be out of control.
If we can't even sit on the park.
But at the same time, that's because there's a lack of recreation. If sitting on the park on a Sunday is
the only thing you have to
look forward to.
There's a problem with that.
That's a problem.
Why are there not other opportunities? Why are there not other events, things are going on to provide for these people? These young people, idle minds, the devil workshop. Right. These young people have nothing to do. Right. What else do you expect them to do? Right. But again, that goes back to the design. That's the design. They don't want anything here for you.
But anything
they don't want anything else. They want you to sit on the corner and fight and do exactly what you are doing. That's why they keep the situation the way it is.
But what do we want for them? We want it to change.
We want it to be abundant.
We want you to take your talents, and if you have the nerve to do some of the things that my young people, they're not scared. So I would take that energy and harness it into something positive. If we're convening on the park on Sundays on a sunny day, why not have structured activities out there?
Police protection.
Why not?
Where were the police?
Well,
where were the police? How can you know?
It's a double-edged sword.
You know that these people are going to congregate there. Where were the police? Do you know where the police were? They were at Walmart hanging out. They were at Scott hanging out. They were probably sitting up somewhere eating or laughing and talking and sitting in the car. I heard Ms. Waddell say this morning on the radio show, we need to see them. We need police protection. And not only that, the police need to know how to treat people. So, for one, they need to get out of their cars. They need to patrol these areas. And when patrolling these areas, meet these people. Know these people. Don't look at these people as criminals. These people are in situations because this is all they have. Maybe they wouldn't be a criminal if more opportunity was here for them. But what we need is better police protection and better police training. Train police officers how to deal with people, get out of these cars, get out, shake some hands, show your presence. Your presence could deter a lot of stuff. There should have been just as many police officers as there was people at Broad Street Park.
No, that's impossible. Yeah. That's impossible. So
my thing is giving people tickets
we're not that bad. We're not that bad of people. We've convened on that park many a time without things happening.
It's always just that one situation.
That was an isolated. That was an isolated incident. But what my thing is, we should prepare because we know
those isolated incidents
may happen.
Thank you. Preparation.
And if we're already injured, because we're injured right now. We're injured as a city because we have a lot of infighting going on.
We are dying. We are past injured. But
we're not past.
We are on life support. Life, man. We're not, but we are on life support. And if something doesn't change, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. We are a reactionary society, which means that we only act after something has happened. We need to be actionary. We need to take initiative and do things to prepare for the future, to prevent things that can't happen. No matter how much of an anomaly or how often they do not occur, we still need to have things in place to prevent
And
those.
we need to stop washing our hands of our young people. We need to stop washing our hands
Considering
of our
yourselves
parents.
better than someone.
We need to stop that. We need to come out of our suits and we need to get down and let's get dirty and get out there with our young people.
If you work for a living, I don't care if you make $100 million a year. If you get a paycheck and you work for someone else, you are in the same boat as someone working at McDonald's. We have a hierarchy that we feel like when we get to a certain level.
And it's not that high.
It's people who have been rich for 200 years. Your $100 million salary is a drop in the bucket to this family over here who's been rich for 200-300 years. If you have to work for a living, you are just the same as the person working at McDonald's. You are not better than the next person. We need to come down off of that and institute things that's going to help people get behind organizations like the Mississippi Delta Ceasefire, organizations geared to dealing with young people that have experience in dealing with young people if you want to stop the violence. Praying is not going to do it. Rallying is not going to do it. Protesting is not going to do it.
Oh, we can protesting.
You can do all that stuff till you blue in the face. You got to put in some work.
You have to be together.
You got to put in some work. Hope is the enemy of hard work.
You have
people
to be
feed you
together.
hope so that you don't hard work. Invest in these organizations that's going to get in and help these young people.
You have to be together to protest. You have to be together to boycott. We're not together. Let's not start acting like we're together when certain things happen. Let's be together just like they said with the NBA. I think Dwight Howard said it. He said he would like to see people stand up all the time. Not just when something happens.
And to speak on that before we leave, nothing should be said about what Donald Sterling said. Nothing at all. After what happened on that Park Sunday, not one person should comment on anything that any white person has to say about their personal feelings. Nothing at all should be said when we do this type of thing to our own people. And when our leadership allows these type of things to happen to our own people, they should shut up and sit down talking about racism coming from another side when we can't help from killing our own self.
Only us can fix us, and we're on a mission to do so. Real conversation with Sean. Hey, let's do better. Hey, my young people, conflict resolution. Love yourself more than you love anybody else, and you'll be least likely to put yourself in a bad situation. And we're going to have to wake up, people. Once something happens, we see how quiet they get. We see how silent it gets. And
there you go. Like the young man killed on Market Street. Nothing was said about it.
Well, hey, I was waiting on something, but
nothing was said.
I knew.
But yeah,
that's what made me know that something can happen to me, and it would be handled the same way.
Nothing would be said about it.
Real conversation with Sean. Let's protect ourselves. Let's be smart about what we're doing out here. And the big test is coming up. The MCT2 test is coming up. Hey, good luck to you. Study hard. Go to sleep at night. So when you get up, you can be fresh and handle your business on that test.
We want to remind everybody to go by our sponsors at Come and Go Grocery, 1500 Captain Avenue, and also call Dr. Adrian Hitz to get on for that 60-day challenge so we can lose weight and get rid of this obesity thing. We love y'all, and we out.
Let's really care.